The GMODIST. More GMODISM.
Well, hello! This is your host, Eric, here on the GMODIST channel. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a showcase or a little hot take on what I'm working on right now. I have made this before. This is a like ballistics tracker basically for aviation. It provides very accurate bearing, of course, good for slow projectiles. Now, the neat thing with this is that you can sink it down into whatever like foundation you have. It's very low profile. And I made this when I discovered that the rangefinders actually connect to each other, and you can connect components on top of the rangefinder. I didn't know that. And additionally, it's like hidden somewhere here, but we have a we have a wireless receiver connecting them up, and we should have actually what? There should be some kind of the local weapon controller is in the front actually, which is interesting. So this is a local weapon controller, the cheap variant, not the all-in-one. And it is thus connected via the coincidence rangefinders, and the wireless receiver is all the back here. It's really weird, but this system ends up being really cheap and providing really good detection, really good bearing tracking, while also being low profile. This gave me some ideas. So I have been working away here trying to piece together different sets or setup of different like tracking combos and making these into small packs, which we could save down then as turrets. And the neat thing with these is, of course, that they will have neat mimics, neat deco, be able to be sunken down into the hull. So you can, for example, like place down a hull on it like this, and it will provide the same detections. It's going to be super low profile while still being decently looking. Yeah. All right, I built some more on them. I don't know how many, I don't know, actually months I've been looking back at these, going back and forth, and you know, making them until I think now they are how I want. This is not what I want. It's just a little showcase of how this little porthole port looks, because it's part of the turret you see. So, a really smart setting these has is you go in here and you have AI control only, and that makes them not like turn and stuff. Very nice. You could also argue why not put them on two axis turrets. And the reason why we don't do that, because then they would look really weird if we did that. And it doesn't really add to the function, because the turrets are like 90-degree detection anyways, so what is it gonna do? Anyways, I think we should quickly go over what I have cooked up here. Now this was the super budget one. I have changed this. So this is now a 360 link. It has two 360s, 360 radar and a camera, and two laser trackers for, yeah, redundancy. It also has an antenna, which usually is inside the AI, but a little bit for fun and for function if the craft this is going to be used on has really tight on space. It has a little communication antenna that will communicate with other devices. Very handy. Now, one thing I noticed when building this is that most of the detection turrets, or like detection parts on the turrets, look really weird when you put like colors on them. So unfortunately, due to how the colors are being applied in a really bad way, it actually looks better to not color many of them. Radar looks nice in this shiny chrome color. The base color is a bit more dull. It's not a big difference really, but it adds a little bit of shine, and that works fine. So I use that on the other radar components as well. Now the coincidence rangefinder and the radar tracker, they are looking good in the gilded brass AOG color, I think. Well, and you may ask why these combinations and why do we even want to make like preset prefabs like this? What is the point? Well, if we go into the detection menu here, you can see we have some different stats for each of them. And a big thing, how much general processing power they take. You might be tempted to spam a lot of radar 360 and camera 360. Thing is that the camera 360 requires 3 general processing power. That means 3 of these cards. Yeah, they cost 100 each, so for each 360 camera you have to pay 300. So that's kind of the cost consideration. And if you use the 90-degree versions, obviously you want to have a 360 detection, but since they are on a turret, that's gonna keep them detecting the enemy. It's gonna provide optimal detection all the time. It's only the initial detection that might be an issue, or if you have several targets, it can be a good idea to have some auxiliary 360s. But I've almost only used the 90-degree variants for all of these. And the reason I've done this is that, well, we can check, comparing the IR camera 90 to the 360, you can see the 90 has 2.5% less range error. It has like 0.3 and the 360 0.45 degrees of angular error. For the bearing, it requires only 1 processing power. This requires 2, and the 360 provides 15 times per second a detection, while the 90-degree provides 30 times second detection. So having fast detection obviously gives you faster data, and that's crucial to target aircraft and similar vehicles. Provided this is something I recently started to do, so From the Depths is a hard game. You go into the menu here and set up the speed averaging, bearing averaging, and range averaging to perhaps like half of these can be working as against aircraft. I found they work better, but I haven't done an empirical testing on exact what settings is the best yet. But a lot of people are decreasing them at least, so... Oh, and also switching to primary target instead of 2 per target, if you... That's best for most cases too. But that's an AI setting more. Anyways. So the reason I've chosen the 90-degree variants is obviously to have better stats, that's all, and lower cost and stuff like that. So this is an auxiliary system. It provides some extra 360 detection, very neat, but costs as well. This is a jack of all trades, and you will notice that the most common detection types or detector types people spam all over the place, which is cameras, they are missing. And the reason for that, they're kind of falling behind here a little bit. The IR camera 90 versus the IR camera 90 versus the camera 90. You can see that the IR camera has faster detection, and the only thing it's worse at is as a slightly worse angle error. And that's a big deal. But the thing is, we have some other stuff on here, like this radar gimbal tracker with a angular error of 0.5 instead, which is not great compared to it, but it has a range error of 0.2. We have a laser tracker here with a range error of 0.1, and that's good because, of course, The radar itself has an okay range error, but the IR camera has an abysmal range error of 10%. Now, the reason why we don't need anything adding up to the bearing much is because we have a coincidence rangefinder. All of the variants have 0.05 degrees of what is it, like angular bearing error. 0.05, that's the best in the game by like a lot. So if you have cram cannons or any cannon that relies a lot of bearing, slow chemical APS, you'll definitely need some coincidence rangefinders. So we have one of those on here, thus we don't really need the camera gimbal tracker. It provides fast detection, yes, and the rangefinder provides pretty slow, but we got the radar being pretty fast updating as well. So this is like a very cheap and very good balanced setup. So I call it jack of all trades. I'll come up with some proper name for it. I'm pretty sure that this is, let's see here, this is gonna be Alpha Systems, this entire series. Perhaps because this is Alpha Systems, I've used that company for a lot of detection earlier. We got the Orion combined as well, but I don't feel it's Orion style actually. I think this is more Alpha Systems style. Yeah, big companies, fun times. Even though this is a good balanced setup, it doesn't help with everything, because the radar is good at detecting big stuff and the IR is good at detecting small hot stuff. But if you have like small stuff that isn't hot, the radar don't help much and the IR camera don't help much. Obviously they'll detect them, but it takes longer. And at that point, it's a good idea to bring your cameras. This is the visual on the enemy little setup. It has a regular 90-degree camera, a 90-degree or a 3.6 or a camera tracker set up in the front of here. Obviously it will be able to spin forwards and track. And then we have a laser rangefinder as well for good range. So this is the visual of the enemy setup. And that can be a good addition, or if the targets you're meeting is probably gonna be like small propeller planes, this might not be the best one there. So if you're really tight on budget, we'll have to think a lot more on the budget. So for each of these turrets, they're not only having trackers, I want them to be able to detect the enemy as well. I want them to be able to provide a detection at least. So this one only has the 300, no, not the 360, I mixed it together. The 90-degree camera, this is the only detection this gives. This one has the coincidence rangefinder. Yes, it's a detector, it has a radar and an IR tracker, so that's gonna provide some decent detection. This one, however, we had to opt for one detector. So the detector components most oftenly take more general processing power than the tracking components. You can see a 90-degree camera takes 2 general processing power, that's 200 materials extra. And the radar one has 1, it just takes 1 processing power. Same with the IR camera, but the radar 90-degree is a little bit more versatile, it has less range error, and it's better paired with the other stuff we put on here. So the reason we have this is, well, doesn't require a lot of general processing power. Then we actually include a general processing power card in the back of here in case the vehicle that's going to use this is really tight on space. It has a radar gimbal tracker. The radar gimbal tracker has, well, okay angular error, but it requires half a unit of general processing power. And the other tracker that does the same is the IR. It requires also just a half while providing 40 detection per second, so it's a good addition. Now, the cheapest tracker of them all is, as probably everyone knows, the laser rangefinder with 0.1 units of general processing power. We don't necessarily need a lot of them on the same turret, but having one of them does help with the range, and having the R gimbal tracker plus the radar gimbal tracker will give us decent bearing as well. So this is a great setup for a really cheap vehicle that's gonna be super low on budget. So this is the budget system, all-around budget system. Now, this is the stealthy detection. It has everything in regarding to stealth, to detect anything that's stealthy. A lot of things that are really like sleek and cool shaped and kind of impossible to detect with radar, they're kind of hot. Yeah, really hot, because they use like a lot of jet engines. So they're gonna be so detectable with IR cameras. Thus, we have an IR camera to detect hot stuff and an IR gimbal tracker to track hot stuff. Now, if we're really stealthy and don't really provide much of anything, like it's a super small, yeah, it might be teleporting around, it might be, you know, doing all sorts of weird stuff. Yeah, and it might even like stay out of the field of view for a good bit, so it may be hard to detect with cameras too. Probably cameras would be good too, but well, I think IR is a little bit more reliable when it comes to hot stuff. I mean, stealthy things can sometimes be pretty hot because they are also really fast, and of course then they use jet engines. But if they want, we have the real stealth detectors, and that is the retro-reflective sensor and the passive radar. The passive radar here, it has like pretty crap detection, but if the enemy uses radar at all, we're gonna detect them. Passive radars listens for enemy active radar signals and can determine the direction and range of the enemy from these. So we're basically like stealing the enemy's radar like pings and using them to find them instead. Takes 2 general processing power, so it's not for the faint of GPPPP. Check my dictionary on Steam Workshop if you wonder what all the acronyms are, by the way. Anyways, then we have the retro-reflective sensor. This is to detect the most stealthy of the stealthy. This unit will constantly rotate and search for targets using a laser that can pass through glass optics but not be detected by color camera sensors. The laser will find optical components, wireless camera, all cameras and cam trackers, and give a good indication of where they are. Yeah, so it's pretty neat. It can detect basically if the enemy uses like cameras at all, we'll be able to see them too. So that's pretty nice. If they use radar at all, we'll see them. If they use cameras at all, we'll see them. So that's why we're pretty stealthy here. Now, if they are even stealthier than that, we included this little wireless snooper in the back. It's shit detection, but it's the best backup thing. You don't need it on a turret. I just put it here for aesthetical reasons. It's better to have in the AI core, but and this basically picks up if your enemy, for example, is having wireless stuff on the vehicle, and like if you use a all-in-one local weapon controller, you do have that. If you don't want to use wireless on the builds, you'll have to build like big snakes of AI connectors all through the vehicles, and don't even think of using like any receivers or any stuff like that. I think everything wireless, including missiles, will add to detection too, but I'm not 100% certain on that. But that is not all. There is more. Yes, look at her. I got and started to make a couple of underwater trackers as well, because obviously, why not? So this I finished today. there are a lot less options when it comes to underwater tracking. And by the way, we have like a lot of mimics here to make this little shape. Obviously, it's not armored for reals. We have the porthole port, or 2 of them. We got alloy poles and empty and truss and stuff like that to make it look nice like this. Or I think it looks nice at least. Anyways, as for water detection, we have a lot less option. We have a sonar 360, and that's of course a lot worse than the sonar 90. Sonar 90 is great, but what if we want to detect passive submarines? Then we need a passive sonar. And that's all the things you can detect underwater vehicles with, except wireless snoopers and of course missile sonar buoy holder. But this is what we included on here, 90 degree, and then we have 2 360s here, basically providing a full field of view for them, both if they are passive or active. Yeah, so that's nice. I'm not gonna make versions of that, but it's gonna be really easy if we just wanna slap on like a torpedo system on here. Rail launcher like this. So yeah, you know, very nice. We are going to, I don't know, I hope I have had time to upload this on the workshop, not the workshop, on the Patreon page for the commissioned officers. Updated the files when I put this video up, but yeah, maybe if the commissioned officers want that, they can probably in the future, I'll ask them to I'll ask you commissioned officers to basically select something you would want to be released public, so I can upload it to workshop too. If you want that, then tell me in the comments too, you can do that. And that said, huge thanks to all the commissioned officers on screen right now. I put them up here. Big thanks to all of you and the cadets as well, of course. And if you're considering to supporting the channel, you'll get everything from cadet level except I won't build a vehicle for you. If you want that I build a vehicle for you, you'll need the higher ranks. But if you just want to have access to the files and all of that, you can do that from cadet. And I think it's 99 cents a month. It's as cheap as I could make it, or $1 or something. Anyways, yeah, and don't even think of supporting the channel if you are having any type of financial issues or need to support yourself or save up. Only do it if it won't really impact like your economy at all. Anyways, this is scrapped. I think it looks crappy, so I think I'm gonna not save this down. It is like a setup for a as cheap as possible underwater sonar tracker. Maybe I'll save it down actually. It's like not as good, but it's like just an active sonar, and I don't even have the like real all-in-one. I just have the yeah, I'm gonna save that down. That's gonna be like a super cheap underwater sonar if you basically have a ship that doesn't rely on sonar, but you want an extra one. Okay, I save it down. Anyways, this one is a other system. It's not really a like detection turret. It has 2 active sonars and got a passive sonar, but that's actually mostly for detecting incoming torpedoes. So if you go here inside, I can see if it says something on them. It needs to be underwater in order to function. Yeah, can detect, this is the sonar 90, can detect torpedoes and underwater mines with a range factor of 50%. And the passive sonar can detect torpedo propulsion and active sonar seekers. So that's also, you know, both of these will help detect incoming torpedoes because munition detectors, they don't work underwater. If you haven't noticed, I'm sorry to break it to you, but yeah. And if you want to see how I set these up, torpedoes, they're like pretty basically set up here. Only targeting missiles, so yeah, Very simple, but nice and effective, I hope. All right. Now, I've also done this little thing. It is more for show, if you will. I think it looks pretty nice, but it's gonna be continuous, and it is like more like a deco build. It's just meant to sit on top of a big like battleship and just like serenely rotate around, detect new enemies. It's maybe a tiny bit too slow. Let's see how fast it should be. How fast can it be? Like probably something like this 0.09. Yeah, well, I guess that's a decent spin. I don't know. I think it's a bit faster than I had before. It's mostly decos, of course, but if you check it, it has all this actual stuff. We have like passive radar, we have munition warners, we have coincidence rangefinders in all directions, we even have strategic antennas. Like, this thing is gonna provide extremely good detection, obviously, but it's not gonna be worth it, and it's not set up in a like proper or good way. It's more like a for fun system, and it's not gonna be part of this series really. It's gonna be under a separate company, because I feel this is like maybe S Corp. Yeah, I think that's S Corp style. Yeah, then I have been sidetracking a little bit and built some other turrets. But I don't think we should look at that today. Hope you enjoyed this little rundown of detection turrets, how to set them up a little bit, and I'll go ahead and save these down, put it in the folder, and update the files and stuff. Yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, and this is your host Eric, and we're signing out from the GMODIST channel. If you for some reason don't know about the GMODism channel, that's my main channel, and this is like my second channel or extra channel, so you can check that out too. But probably go to Steam Workshop, check out the dictionary, and yeah, I'll see you next time. This is your host Eric, signing out.